All right, we now welcome onto the podcast someone that both me and Tyler are very excited to speak with today, director Randy Wilkins of the upcoming ESPN documentary titled The Captain that will be premiering Monday, July 18th, telling the story of Derek Jeter's career, the GOAT, as I like to say. Thanks so much for joining us, Randy. How are we doing today, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, appreciate you coming on, spending some time. We've seen the was it last week was the premiere at Yankee Stadium, right? That was last week.
Yeah, that was last week. Last Thursday, I believe.
That was dope, man. That was really cool. And
Yeah.
you showed, was it the first episode or both the first two episodes?
We showed the first two. We showed the first one at Tribeca, and then we showed the first two at Yankee Stadium. We wanted to make sure that Yankees fans saw some championships in the second episode, so we wanted to make sure they left happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, that's a perfect place to be debuting that and showing it in front of the fans. But just to start it off, man, I think I saw, was it a year and a half or 2 years ago that it was publicly announced that this documentary would be happening? Or how did this all kind of come together? When did this start up? When did you get pitched on it? Or how did this all formulate here?
So it was announced officially last May, I believe, but we were in talks with it a year prior to that. So Spike Lee is a major part of my life. I've known him pretty much my entire adult life. And he's close friends with Derek. So in June of 2020, when the pandemic, the first wave was like really raging and people were still in their homes, Spike called me to check up on me, see how I'm doing. And then he asked me who was my favorite Yankee. And I told him Derek Jeter, but I also thought it was a little odd that he was asking me who my favorite Yankee was while we're in the middle of this pandemic. There's no baseball, there's no nothing going on. So he mentioned to me that Derek wanted to do a film on himself. He wanted to do a doc, and Spike had recommended me to Derek. So I almost like dropped the phone, almost had like a heart attack. One, because I never thought Derek would ever do a film on himself, but also obviously the potential opportunity to help tell that story. So I met Derek on a Zoom. He was in Miami, and Spike was on it as well. And the first time I spoke with Derek, it felt like I'd known him for 10 years. It was very odd. It was weird. We hit it off right away. So we had been talking about it since June of 2020, and thankfully ESPN signed on to distribute it and finance it. And then here we are, a couple of days away from the premiere.
Oh yeah. What was the toughest part of the whole process? Was it getting there? Or was it kind of getting to know Derek? I know you said you kind of defeats the purpose of the question, I suppose, but you said you got to know him, or when you first met him, you instantly kind of clicked. But what was kind of the toughest part of the whole documentary journey?
Honestly, I think that it's just getting all these people together. We did 90 interviews, and it's so many accomplished people with busy schedules, with other time commitments, living in different parts of the country. We filmed the majority of it in New York. So I think a lot of it was just making sure that we got all the voices. And we did interviews that were 3 to 4 hours long because we wanted to be as robust and as like covered as possible. Mm-hmm. So I think getting all of these amazing athletes and journalists and celebrities to commit to doing it, but then also committing that much time was an incredible challenge. But everybody was down to do it. You know what I mean? It was like if we asked like 98% of the people, they were down to do it. And I think once we had that, I knew that we had a great film because there were so many voices. Derek was open and candid. And we had so many important voices that I think the next challenge was making sure that we had the most compelling version of the film, because you can go a million different ways. But I think the path we chose was the strongest one.
Oh yeah, everyone's just trying to make it work. That's awesome to hear, though.
Yeah, it's a lot of love for Derek. Like that's how you know when you have a lot of respect from people, when they put the effort to be a part of something like this, and that was very apparent right from jump.
That's dope.
I named my dog that's sleeping right next to me after Derek Jeter. I got him last year. Oh yeah, got a Yankee collar on and everything.
Nice. Funny story. The president of ESPN, Jimmy Pitaro, when we pitched it, he told us that he named his dog Jeter. So
Really?
he's also, he's like a huge Yankees fan and like was all about the project. And I assume there are a lot of people that have named their dogs after Derek.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So me and Tyler were both born in 98. So we were at the tail end.
Oh, okay.
We were too young to see it, but we saw 2009. But a question that I would have is, a lot of fans know the story of Derek, and they know the story of the Derek. They know the story of the 90s Yankees. And, we hear it when it comes to like my parents or even my older brother, it comes in the form of like fairy tales sometimes, the way that they tell about the team. What is something that even the fans that may be diehard and were like fully immersed, as a lot of diehard Yankee fans were, that will come out of this documentary and saying, wow, like I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's a new thing that's coming to me.
I think there are a couple things. I think Derek's relationship with the Yankees over time is something that a lot of people don't know. I think that the relationship is romanticized a little bit, but Derek is very open in that there were moments where he and the organization didn't see eye to eye, that there were definitely conflicts. There were definitely moments with Cashman and Derek where they didn't see eye to eye, that there was definite tension. I think just kind of like the intricacies of their rise and then the period where they kind of fell a little bit. There's a lot of dynamics to it that people just wouldn't know because they didn't have access to any of the people involved. I think people will learn a lot about how important loyalty and trust truly are to Derek. It's hinted at, but he's very clear on how those values are crucial and how he interacts with people and kind of determines if they're going to be in his circle or not. I think there's some like inside baseball things that we talk about, and even with like the 2004 collapse, guys reveal how they truly responded to losing that series that people don't know because they never talked about it. I think it's littered throughout. I wanted to make sure that we struck a balance where, yes, we wanted non-baseball fans and non-Yankees fans to enjoy it and be a part of it, but we also knew that Yankees fans wanted to learn something that they didn't know. You know what I mean? So like going back to your question about the challenge, I think that's also another challenge, was making it global and universal, but also understanding that there's like millions and millions of Yankees fans that know a lot about Derek. So we wanted to make sure that there were things throughout where they learn something, they take something away from it. So, and I think because Derek was so private, there are a lot of things that he says in the film that people just don't know because he wouldn't reveal it. So I think it's littered throughout. I mean, he even curses. Like, there's not a Yankees fan that's ever heard Derek Jeter curse. You know what I mean? Like
that'll be new. That'll be new.
Yeah. So even something like that is different. You know what I mean? So I think it comes in big and small ways.
Cool. Just getting me fired up just listening to this. I got to unblur my background right now so I can show off my Jeter framed pic right there. I didn't even realize it was there, but jumping into a next one. What was it like kind of doing a sports documentary, and how does it kind of different from other films that you may have done in the past, or something special about this one? How are we feeling about it?
I mean, it's special because it's Derek, it's the Yankees. Obviously, we're all Yankees fans. I grew up in the Bronx. I'm a little older than you guys, so I remember when they weren't good. And then David Cohn came and Wade Boggs came and Paul O'Neill came and they started to be good.
Yeah.
And then Derek came and now we have a dynasty. So I went through all of that. So it's special on a personal level because I experienced a lot of it. And these were a lot of my childhood heroes, sports heroes. But in terms of like a sports doc, I don't treat it that way. A film is a film, a story is a story. So yes, it's centered around sports and a sports figure, but it's really about who's the human behind all of that. You know what I mean? So you treat it any other way in terms of a documentary subject as you would if it was somebody that was a politician or a doctor or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Like there's still tenets to storytelling that you have to be true to. And my fandom couldn't play a role in how this film is presented or constructed. You know what I mean? Because then it's biased and it's not doing anybody a service. So sports doc doesn't really factor into it. What tells the best story? What's the best way to do it? What is this about? What are we trying to say here? And you want to create emotional connections. Like when you guys watch this, I want you to feel closer to Derek. I want you to feel something, and that would be true if it was about somebody who wasn't a superstar athlete. So you treat it all the same.
Dope.
Cool.
Dope.
Gotcha.
So on Sunday Night Baseball this past Sunday, they teased, I don't know if it was a specific trailer just for that Sunday Night Baseball, but they teased a little bit with him and A-Rod. And that was something that sparked. I had one of my buddies that's a Red Sox fan that was obviously watching the game that we're not going to talk about because that was a ugly game Sunday.
Yeah.
But he messaged me. He goes, "Man, how excited are you for this documentary?" And this is coming from a Red Sox fan. He's like, that A-Rod and Jeter conversation like got me jacked up, man. And so that's when I saw that. I'm sure a lot of other Yankee fans are saying, "Oh, this is going to be juicy." So what was that like? Was it, I don't, without giving too much away, obviously, because we want to watch it, but what was that like seeing, having A-Rod come in and discuss that at first, maybe dicey relationship and how it talks about how maybe it evolved over time?
Yeah, I honestly didn't know what to expect. I wasn't sure if he was going to answer any of my questions, how far he was going to take the answers if he did. I really didn't know what was going to happen. But he was candid, he was open. My big thing is to speak your truth. Like I told everybody that was in the film, do not feel compelled to kiss Derek's ass because you think you're doing something for the film. The way that this film will succeed is by hearing people's truths. Like, this is not a Yankeeography. You know what I mean? So I told Alex that, I told Brian Cashman that, I told all the journalists, like everybody heard my spiel. And I appreciate A-Rod, opening up about it. I mean, the first couple of questions outside of like, how did you meet Derek and all that stuff were about his relationship. And he jumped right into it, and he was honest about it. He didn't duck the questions. There was a moment where he got a little tense. I think there was a moment where he felt like, he was going to be vilified in the film, and I had to remind him that's not why we're here. I don't know you. I don't really know Derek. It's not my place to like judge either one of you or pick a side. That's not my job. And then we moved on. We were cool, but I'm very appreciative that both Alex and Derek spoke about it, and it's littered throughout the film. Like, it's not just one scene where we talk about it, then we move on and never addressed it. Alex is in multiple episodes. So, I know that's like one of the juicy things that people want to hear about and know more about, and we get into it. So I'm proud that we're able to provide that to people.
Excited for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tyler.
So if you're the pup kind of getting into it a little bit over there, but
I'm sorry. My guy's sleeping, so he might wake up and start going crazy. So.
He just was sleeping. He probably heard the wind or something that bothered him.
Yeah.
But always barking at nothing. But I'm sure you guys talked about this in the film, though. But I kind of wanted to get your perspective to it. As a Yanks fan, I mean, personally, I'm kind of done. We hear so many Jeter comparisons kind of day in and day out. Something that bothers me. I'm just like, just let Jeter be Jeter, What was his, if you can, did he have any sort of take on that? Something you can kind of give us a little sneak peek to it? Does he like the comparisons? Does he like kind of being relevant in the media still? Or what is, how'd that work out?
I think he's honored that people were inspired by him and like wore his number, and he, inspired another generation of shortstops. But we honestly didn't really get into it. I don't think he cares that much. You know what I mean? Like, he's living his life. He's a dad. He has 3 daughters. He's married. He has other ambitions now. I think when the Carlos Correa thing happened, when Carlos kind of like took that shot at him earlier this year, I think that threw him off, because his whole thing is, I'm not talking about you. Why are you talking about me? When it comes to something that might be perceived as a slight or something, I think for him, it's just like, I'm not talking about you. Why do you need to talk about me? But I think overall, I mean, I don't know many people that wouldn't be happy that other people find them inspiring or that they're still relevant. I think, part of that conversation is he overrated? Like, is he as good as people like make him out to be?
Blasphemous.
And I think, Yeah, yeah, oh, totally. But I think from his perspective, and we talked about it, I think he's very comfortable with criticism. Like he understands that that comes along with the job. He's confident in what he's accomplished. He'll tell you he has 5 rings, so there's not much you can really say to him. But yeah, I mean, he's comfortable with the criticism. He knows that it's there. It's not going to ever go away. I think he just knows that that's part of the job, and he just goes on about his business.
Yeah,
Well, he's certainly done a great job
yes,
in the New York
absolutely.
media for so long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A masterclass, just
Yeah.
insane. So you've been watching a lot of this season. The 2022 Yankees have been super exciting. And question I would have for you is you were talking to all these people that were surrounding the team during that time of all the success. And now we hear Yes Network and all, maybe ESPN and everybody, they'll show up the stats of comparing them to the 98 Yankees because of this historic start. What maybe you as a fan, and then how you dived into the kind of mentality behind all these players that you were talking to, any similarities you see there, like what, because we watched last year, and obviously you watched last year, 2021, polar opposite, man, of what we were. Yankee fans were like back and forth. It was crazy. It was a swing of emotions that was wild. So what maybe that you see that, because me and Tyler personally aren't huge fans of the comparison of like the 98 Yankees, and are like, I don't know, leave them where they are, or like, it puts a lot of pressure on us. But what would you maybe say that you're seeing from this team this year, and then what you saw and what the information you gathered further when you were doing this documentary, and you say, oh, that's kind of comparable there or whatever?
I think it's just their competitive attitude and approach that is similar. I don't think that the teams are very similar. I mean, the Yankees have one guy that hit more home runs by the All-Star break than anybody on the 98 team hit in a full season. So
wild.
So it's very different roster construction and reliance upon power in this day and age versus like back in 98. They're just different teams. But I think the one big similarity, and I know that this is true because multiple guys from that team talked about it, was just this everyday consistent relentlessness and this belief that once we got off the bus, we were going to win. Like the game was over before we showed up. And I think that this Yankees team is building it specifically for this season. I think part of it with the Yankees in 98 was that they had already won a title. So they had already been at the mountaintop. The Yankees of 22 obviously don't have that, but they have that attitude that we're going to win every single game, and that's the goal. We're not going to take a game off. We're not going to take an inning off. We're just going to compete every single inning, every single pitch. And I think you see that in like the comebacks. Even last night against Cincinnati, they lost, but they lost by a run. They were down 3 in the 10th. They could have easily just given these at-bats up. And I think like the 21 Yankees would have given the at-bats up. You know what I mean? This team doesn't do that. I think that there's like a very singular focus on trying to win a championship. I think that there's an urgency, the same urgency that the 98 team has since they lost in 97. They have something to prove. And I think the 21 season is kind of like this team's version of 1997. You know what I mean? That it was like unfinished business and that the ride was cut short way too early. So I think the biggest similarity is just their attitude and like how competitive they are, inning to inning, pitch to pitch, all that cliche stuff.
Yeah, you can sense a real difference in hunger this year. Like we talk about it every week when we do the recaps. Like the sense of hunger is completely different, and you can attribute that to a guy like Rizzo coming in and guy like Donaldson coming in, bringing a new attitude. And Aaron Hicks said it at the beginning of the year, the Yankees needed an FU attitude, and those guys have helped bring it in.
But I also think the organization feels that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were very specific on who they wanted on this team, whether it was a popular move or not. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they were just kind of ruthless in how they evaluated the roster and said, we need to address these other areas of the game pretty aggressively and very pointedly. So I think the entire organization felt it. I just think that 21, like, put a lot of things in perspective for the Yankees, that it was like, this is a BS season. We know we could have been better, but something was off and they figured out what those things were. and they all went to work like collectively. And I think that, now you're seeing their capabilities like at the highest level. So hopefully it keeps up.
Yes, we need it to keep up.
100%. I mean, just going back to the wild card game last year, obviously, not a great game, but Boone's comments after, he was like, Lee caught up to us, and just kind of admitting that the org kind of needed some changes in some way. And I think just looking at this year, obviously you go on Twitter, it's a different story, but fans are fans have a much more sense of like confidence in the organization and just decision making, which I think was definitely lacking the last couple of years. But here's probably my most important question to you: is T Wade making an impact this year, or what?
Hell no, not at all, not at all, not at all. I don't understand why he's back. Everybody knows on Twitter how I feel about Tyler Wade, so I know why this question was asked.
Did you tweet about him? Because I seriously didn't even see it.
Oh
yeah. I saw it. I saw it.
I did not.
The best part about that though were people like legitimately mad at me or like upset with me that I was like talking about Tyler Wade. And they were like, why are you getting so bent out of shape over this? It was like, man, you must be new here. Like, this is not new. This is how I feel about him. Like, I don't like him. I never will like him. So yeah, I definitely tweeted about it. So
he's having a terrible year too.
Oh, because he's just fast. I mean, are you surprised?
Yeah.
Like,
no.
We were just talking about it. A Bronx native and Andrew Velasquez, who's on the team last year, is still on the Angels roster, and so I guess that's what you can take that for what it is. But what would you rather have? I got to ask you this: as the trade deadline approaches, but like just in terms of playing, would you rather have Tyler Wade playing in the outfield or Joey Gallo? Are we going to make a left field?
Oh, Joey Gallo.
Oh, you still going with Gallo? Okay.
Oh yeah. Here's my thing with Gallo. He's good. I just don't know what's going on. I don't think all of it is like playing in New York. I mean, that might be part of it. I think it snowballed into that, but it felt like there was he just didn't make adjustments, or he wasn't willing to make adjustments, and now it's like snowball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're fans, and I'm pretty sure we can tell anybody how to pitch to Joey Gallo. You know what I mean?
High fastball. He can't. Yeah.
He can't hit it, but it's like that requires an adjustment that he hasn't made, and it feels like he's refusing or like not able to execute the adjustment. So like, I really like Joey Gallo. I know it's not working. I know he probably will not be a Yankee for much longer, but I would certainly take Gallo over Tyler Wade. I'd take you guys over Tyler Wade.
Oh man,
I think he's got praise. Like a 540 OPS right now or something like that. 52 OPS plus something like that. Yeah. The dude runs fast, so give it to him.
He does. He's a very fast guy. Yeah.
Do you think they make what do you think their deadline moves? Maybe something like I said, left field. Do you think they make a move there? Or
I think. I mean, it's tough now because with the Royals thing in Toronto, it's hard to know who is actually available. I mean. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can trade for Benintendi just for competitive reasons. Whatever your feelings are about the vaccine, it's a fact that he cannot play unless he changes his mind.
Yep.
So I think that's difficult for any AL team, if you got to play Toronto, because I think they're making the playoffs. I definitely think that they will address pitching, whether it's a starter or a reliever.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to make multiple moves. It might be like one relatively big move and then some like depth stuff, because with Severino hurt, now you start to see some depth issues that might be arising. So I think they'll make a couple moves. I think Brian Cashman is very aware of like what's at stake here and what the potential is. So I think from his history, he will make moves. I don't think this is like 98 where you're just like, we're good. I think you have Houston that you have to worry about. I think you have to worry about the teams in the AL East in the playoffs. Because they know how to play the Yankees, so I think he'll make a couple moves.
Yeah, we're hoping for it. We were just talking about how we hope Ian Happ can maybe potentially, or if it's a Brian Reynolds or someone there, we got to see.
Yeah, they got to get somebody to me,
Rob.
It's although Reynolds is on the IL right now, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
but we'll have to see.
I don't think Reynolds will happen. Hat might happen, but I'm not sure Reynolds is going to happen.
That's that'll
some
cost
sort of
them
rental.
Yeah, some sort of mental. Back to Jeter real quick. Do you guys at all talk about the one Hall of Fame vote that he does not get?
We don't. I mean, we put it in the part in his speech where he mentions it and he calls it out. But I think it's such a mystery that like even he doesn't even know who it is and like what's going on. Like nobody knows who this person is.
Wild.
So yeah,
Red Sox fan easily.
Yeah. We acknowledge it in his speech because we thought it was funny and we included it, but we didn't really harp on it. You know, we don't want to give that person shine for being an idiot. So.
Yeah.
True. Very true. Very true.
For being a hater.
Yeah. Straight up. Yeah, but we really appreciate you coming on, Randy. Best of luck with the launch of I know I'll be watching on Monday.
Thank you.
Is it what time does it premiere? Is it along
it's right after the home run derby. So they say 10, but it's like whenever the home run derby officially ends, then it'll be. And then just so people know, it'll be every Thursday starting next Thursday. So it'll be Monday will be episode 1. And then that same Thursday, it'll be episodes 1 and 2. And then it'll be the next couple of Thursdays.
Awesome. I know I'll be staying up past the home run derby to watch that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Last quick question. Who do you talked about your relationship with Spike Lee? Who do you think is a bigger Yankee fan, you or Spike?
Me.
You?
The only right answer.
Yeah, he asked me questions about the Yankees, so I'll take that one. He can take the Knicks. I'll take the Yankees.
That's awesome. All right, Randy, we really appreciate you coming on, man.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.